Welcome to ToV Live. My goodness, it's been a minute. But we're still here. We're still going, and we're not going to stop. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the live stream tonight. Now on Twitch and YouTube on Tales of Hell YouTube page.
That's cool.
So do not have to upload this. It's already directly there. Just going to take a little bit of editing. It's already there on YouTube, so it saves me some trouble. Gets us communicating directly with the YouTube audience that we have there on Tales of Hell YouTube. So wonderful, wonderful. I am Ryan, Tales of Valhalla. We got Joe, aka Joe Crazy, above me. We got Jeremy, the Elysium Cullet, and we got Jason, Rocco Robotics, beside us. And of course, we're here to talk about all things Heroscape. Used to be talking about Heroscape Age of Annihilation, but of course that crashed and burned, and we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight.
The Aftermath Chronicles.
the aftermath of Annihilation. Yeah, that's what the title is, actually. The Aftermath of Annihilation. We're just going to have a little bit of a constructive discussion about that tonight. And in future times, because we'll continue this podcast. We'll probably be doing this every other week now for the foreseeable future. We'll be talking about Heroscape lore, Heroscape gameplay mechanics, all things Heroscape, possibly things that might be similar to Heroscape. We're just gonna have a chat and talk about it. We'll have guests. We're gonna keep on going. We're gonna keep on doing this because this baby was birthed from Annihilation. Might as well keep the baby.
We're gonna rise from the ashes like a phoenix.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Egyptian creation. We all just come from chaos.
What is the Exentia? Exentia. We're gonna rise like Exentia after emulating.
Nice.
We're gonna be good to go.
That's a C3V reference, by the way. So.
Yeah, that's for for those that are classic onlys. Okay, it's for a different crowd. It's okay. The joke was not for you.
But there are a lot of things planned in here as I adjust this shirt that fell. All right.
Oh, that's funny.
And so yeah, still posting the audio versions of the ToV podcast. Unfortunately, Sounder is going to be going away, so I am finding another place to go to, and there should be actually, if you're watching this on YouTube, there should be a link in the description below for that. So if you want to watch an audio podcast version, probably going to take some time to manage through all that, figure things out, considering I still have here, just real quick, just going to plug this real quick. Working on episode 10 here of Tales of Valhalla, episode 10, season 3, and this is all the audio files, and yes, that is 18 scenes in one episode, the final episode for that. So still working on that, so that does take a lot of my time, but I'm trying to get this managed, because this is also something that I want to do, want to keep on building. So we will talk about that some other time. So how about we just dive in right in. Okay, it is quite obvious because we were there when
saw it all.
The countdown clock went to 0 and nothing happened. And it was I told Joe a week or so before the crowdfunding campaign ended, one of my concerns when it came to the end of the crowdfunding campaign, if it were to fail, which it did, was that the community, the Heroscape community in general, was probably going to turn sour against Avalon Hill in different levels, different extremes. Some lower, some higher, and unfortunately, I think I was right. I think I see a bit of that. It's the thing is, I agree with a lot of what's being said, and I understand with a lot of what's being said. And I'm just going to plug right now, Sir Heroscape, I think one of the first videos to come up online when it came to the end of the crowdfunding campaign was Sir Heroscape's video, and I agree with what he said. I totally understand what he said. I think I have a different conclusion on one of his conclusions, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But so that's a great video to watch, though, just for perspective. And then also Jason posted a video not long after as well. There's links in the description below if you're watching this on YouTube to watch those. And I think Jason also gives a very unique perspective from that. And when it comes to, like, I know one thing, quote Sir Heroscape here when he says, and this is totally understandable, that he doesn't really trust the team anymore there at Avalon Hill. His trust is kind of broken, and I don't know if I'll say that, but I do know one thing: if anything's going to be attempted or tried again, and that's a whole other subject I want to bring up too. But if anything's going to be attempted again, I do know that the team has an uphill climb. Most certainly has an uphill climb when it comes to motivating the base again, for sure. I mean, I have, other than the fact that they need to learn and grow and build from failure, because it is a failure. It failed, so you have to recognize that. You have to build from that, and if we don't grow from our failures, then we truly fail.
Right.
So I mean, they're always welcome to come on here to have discussion with us. Absolutely, but I just hope they learn some things. I hope they continue building and growing, and I do want to bring up another subject, because I know, and this is a lot of people are going to hate me if I mention this, but any other thoughts from these videos? I mean, especially Jason, your videos. I know there were a lot of comments below these as well. So thoughts, guys, for that. Joe, go ahead and go first if you want.
I think for me to say something new, is definitely talking about how I think Avalon Hill needs to separate from Hasbro Pulse. Not in the sense that they should be on their own company. They should still be associated with Hasbro in some way, but they need their own website. They need to be separated from the Pulse, sanctum of whatever they're doing, because it's so weird. It was so weird for me to go watch their big presentation, their live stream for PulseCon, and be like, tuning in live today is G.I. Joe, Transformers, Nerf, Avalon Hill, and then so on. And it's just like, none of that makes any sense. These are big toy companies, and then here's a company that makes games. It's the market is not for them. It's entirely different. And it's really weird. It was really weird to see that and hear that. Even when they did that second presentation and they were going through the halls, where we got the special look at Scathereth and forgot the Thor, the bug one.
The Therax Dragoon.
Yeah, Dragoon. Yeah. And it was just so weird to be like, yeah, more from Marvel, more from G.I. Joe, more from Avalon Hill. And it's like, it's not this, it's different. So yeah, I think they need their own website where they can put all this stuff. I think them doing any criticisms, big criticisms I have, are doing exclusively on Discord. Having a Discord chat, great idea. But to exclusively say, hey, in order to get these concept arts and updates, like to go on the Discord, it seems like it's gatekeeping it a bit. And I think having, your own website to post this stuff as well, would be very beneficial. And I think it's not just for Heroscape, but for all their other games. And I think they have a different vibe. But when you click on the Hasbro Pulse and you see the rest of their giant white website, when you open it up, it's like, that doesn't match with Avalon Hill's, red and black persona and vibe too. So it's to say something different. Definitely, I think they just need to take a sidestep from Hasbro Pulse a bit more than they already have. I think.
Right. And Jeremy.
So just kind of build off of what Joe was saying, starting with the Discord. That situation is really interesting because Discord has, I think it started in 2015, right? And for 5 straight years, it was advertised as gamer chat, right? So it was supposed to be the place that you use to network while you're doing video game related activities, and it's always been, it was the alternative to Skype. It was the alternative to Mumble, right? That was the point. It was a networking messenger tool. And for the longest time that I've been a member on Discord, that's what I regarded it as gamer chat. So when I wanted to go get some video game related activities done, I would use Discord to network with the friends there, right? It's not a social media site. It never was, right? It started off as a media. It was meant for networking as far as chat activities, networking as far as gaming activities. And Discord changed their motivations like during the pandemic, right? Because a lot of students started building groups, and then I know a lot of businesses started creating Discords and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, it just exploded. And so now they're like, yeah, it's a chat group. That's what it still is, right? It's still chat, but it's not social media. And I think what was building off of what Joe was saying, locking the stuff behind the Discord. Do you know how many people we had to continue to show the stuff? How many of us, including other members of the Heroscapers community, that were posting what was posted on Discord on other sites that would have more reach, that would have a broader networking opportunity, because that's what those are designed for, is spreading news, whereas Discord is for community, it's talking, it's just to have a chat. So I really do think locking into Discord specifically when it's not really meant to be a social media space makes that was a big rough one, because a lot, I mean, even to what I want to say in the past, yesterday or 2 days ago, like, people are still saying they didn't know Heroscape was going to get revived.
I've seen some of that. Yeah,
there is a lot of people, and I'm actually kind of alarmed personally, because the amount of effort that I put out to say that, hey guys, Heroscape's coming back, and so many people are like, wait, Heroscape's coming back? And I'm like, like,
where have you been?
I tried.
You're 3 months behind.
I did everything I could aside from paying my own ads, right? And I'm just put it out there. I even thought about it, right? I almost hit that button. I was going to pay for an ad.
Oh no!
Heroscape on social media. I was so close. I was like, nope, I can't do it. I can't. I'm not ad manager. Like, I had to like talk myself out of it. But no, that was the thing, right? It's like, after all the work that was done to spread the word, people still didn't know. And that's not good. Because that could have been a potential backer, and even, and you're getting to that much later, right? It's just the fact that it was so limited scope and information. Yeah, just not enough people knew about it, and Discord is probably one of the reasons why, because it's not, this is a very particular site for a very particular group of people, and we already have a forums page. Like, it would have been awesome to see one of the members of Avalon Hill start posting on the forum, using the things that people are familiar with and getting touching base that way, instead of forcing everyone to make change, because I promise you, that's the hard. You're not gonna get someone to change when they're used to a certain way of communicating, right? And Discord's just, it's a different way of communicating, and it just kind of came out of nowhere, and now no one even uses it. So it's like, well, good job, like, just it's interesting, but it's like, I really think there could have been different ways to communicate the media that they were creating and trying to generate that hype and that motivation. And yeah, definitely with separating with Avalon, or with Hasbro Pulse. Avalon Hill is a brand. right? And so are all the others, Transformers, GI Joe. But those are very specific one universe brands or multi-universe brands that are stuck within a very particular perspective. Everyone knows what a Transformer is. You say Transformer, boom, right? Everyone knows that. You say Avalon Hill, it's like dot dot dot. Trying to figure it out. And for most people, right, they'll say Risk, right? I think Avalon Hill's main name is attached to Risk. But for the most part, you can't say Avalon Hill, then people will be like, they know all the different brands are with that. And that's like, man, that's a marketing pain. Like, when you can't advertise your work, when you're not showing off everything that you can do because you only have to put it on one name. And it's like, but all the stuff they've done, right? No one, how many people didn't even know they brought back Hero Quest, for those that are familiar with the Hero Quest, right? And then Risk, and then, I mean, Betrayal House on Hill is a really good game series. Right? I played it before, and I mean, not a lot of people know that Avalon Hill was the one that did that. So it's like, I appreciate that there's that dedication to the brand, but I wish more people knew what they like. If they had their own thing, they could advertise more. They could have their own separate page. And we all grew up. I say grew up because Heroscape in the past, sad, but like we all grew up with a Heroscape.com. There was a specific Heroscape website, and that was the place. Okay, and not to bring up the nostalgia makes people sad. Because look, I'll be honest, I use Internet Wayback Machine all the time, and I go back and check it out just every once in a while. Miss the good old days of the Heroscape.com. But it had the webisodes, it had the wallpapers, it had the news, right? You get your news there, the articles that went live when they did the new characters are coming out. Guess what? New set's coming out. That was the place to get your information. So we didn't have something like that. There wasn't like this dedicated site. And I mean, like I said, no one knew I didn't know what Hasbro Pulse was until I got
Never knew that existed.
Never didn't.
Yeah.
What's Hasbro? And and that's not to put the brand down or anything at all. That's just genuine. My scope of experience has never come across that word in my life until August the 5th, I guess, or whenever they brought it up that they said it was going to be part of it. That's when I looked it up, and then I was like, oh, hey, check this out. There's a lot of stuff here that I didn't know was happening. Whoa, like there's no reach. So, of course, it was like, the channels to get the Heroscape information out there were, limited because, I mean, if Hasbro Pulse was not a thing in the general perspective in the beginning, how you gonna know that Heroscape's trying to come back? So that's my thing. Yeah, I could keep going, but yeah, there's a lot to learn from this campaign, I think, and it's a really good thing to observe critically, and take it apart respectfully, understanding all the stuff, and not and yeah, I think it's okay to have emotions about it as long as you're not like, just throwing it out there and angry. Well, I mean, I guess a few people already did that anyway, so we're good. But just in the sense of understanding why you're angry and then being able to like critically present it, I think that's a good thing to do because it's okay to be mad, right? Like that's not a bad thing. I'm kind of mad about it too, but it's understanding that reason and then explaining it and learning from it. That's what's important. Not just like I just want to yell and do nothing.
And if your conclusion is mistrusting, or if one's conclusion is mistrusting and not having much hope, in that, it's understandable. It's
definitely understanding that.
Yeah,
Very valid.
Jason.
So, collect my thoughts a bit. So I recorded my video, and I had that all done, and I intentionally did not watch Sir Heroscape's video until after I posted mine. I wanted to just say,
that's fair.
I didn't want to be influenced by what he was saying. But after watching his, I think him and I are probably about 90% in agreement of what happened. There's a few things that I disagree with him on, in terms of like the economic conditions as well as the Christmas season. I don't think those are quite as big of an impact as maybe he thought they were, but in terms of how some things are managed with the campaign and some details like that, pricing and stuff, I think we're pretty much, him and I are probably very in the same page. What I want to hear from him more on is he had referenced several conversations he had with Chris, presumably over Discord. He had only a very small snippets of those conversations. I would love to see that expanded on a bit. Like especially the one comment about how I think he mentioned, according to Sir Heroscape, that Chris mentioned that he thought Heroscape was bigger than Hero Quest, and I guess I think this is where I think maybe there's a bit of a logic trap on Avalon's Hillside thinking about that comment. It's probably true that there's more HeroScape players, or prior to the relaunch of HeroQuest, there's definitely more HeroScape players than were HeroQuest players. No one is playing HeroQuest anymore. The game was 30 years old, and frankly, there's been better dungeon crawl adventures since then. But I think with HeroQuest, it fed a lot of players into the Warhammer hobby. So there's a lot more nostalgia available for it than necessarily with HeroScape. And then when it came back, a lot of people who played it 30 years ago were like, oh, this is amazing, I can go buy it again. So I think maybe that was, I don't know. I was just kind of commenting on that little snippet from Sir HeroScape. But, I mentioned in my video, I talked a little bit about how it probably was a lot of the price point.
Yeah.
It's tough to judge how much people actually passed on because they weren't painted miniatures, or they didn't like the characters that were included in the thing. That's always a tough thing to figure out. I mean, that's my basic thoughts about it. I don't, nothing new to add, really.
Kind of just. I mean, it probably lumps into a percentage of people who were just discontented, with the overall thing, whether it be, miniatures not painted or whatever. There's probably a fairly sizable percentage of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is what affected the whole campaign. I don't think so.
I know. I will say, in my immediate circle, so the individuals that were interested, who had never touched HeroScape before, but knew about it because of me, their immediate roadblock was the price. I lost a lot of people on the 250.
Yeah, the price probably was.
That was a very big roadblock for a lot of my at least my peer group. So, and from what I could read and what I picked up from chat and stuff like that, same for a lot of people. It's just 250 was a lot to ask for.
And I'm gonna just discuss two things in these past couple of weeks, two things that I observed or just thought about and kind of went and it's something that nobody's really either people have talked about it or I haven't talked about it much after, and it was just me just why is this the way it is? And here, I just want to bring these up. If you guys have a couple points too after, any thoughts that we just think makes your eye twitch, feel free. But I'm just gonna show something that I was thinking of. So I went to look in the HasLab website and just to browse the HeroQuest campaign, what's up there. And just to see in comparison. And when scrolling through this, I have no interest in buying HeroQuest. But when I was looking at the crowdfund campaign page of what it was, and just the level of design, information, how everything looks just so well done, presentable. After scrolling through it, I felt like, okay, I don't want this game, but I want to buy this. With the tier levels and such, and it influenced me in a way to where I'm just like, wow, this is kind of cool. And if I would have saw this campaign back a few years ago when they did it, I probably would have bought something, at the very least a $99 one. And in comparison with the Age of Annihilation campaign, I have to be honest with myself. It just doesn't look as presentable. And here I'm going to post what they have now. This is an updated version. What they had originally,
Yeah,
when they started the campaign. I mean, even this, I'm like looking. I'm like, okay, it's fair, but I don't think it's is as great a quality of presentation as was the Hero Quest. And I remember that it was said that they were, when it came to the campaign, they were going to make it like the Hero Quest campaign. And and I think there have been some people that have said, it's like, this isn't anything, or not really close enough to what the Hero Quest campaign was, especially at the price point, to where there was 2 tiers, there was no tier for this one. And I'm just like, that makes a difference. That can really, because it made a difference with my own mind. I love Heroscape. I invested in this, but I have to be honest with myself to be which crowdfunding page looked better, more presentable for a person just going in for the first time, and that was me with Hero Quest, just looking at it for the first time. I felt more attracted to that one. So that, I mean, I think that is a point, against that, to where I'm just like, that made me want just like,
yeah. No, and like, I mean, it's small little. I'm no brilliant scientist or anything on this subject.
Right.
I pick at small things here and there, but website design, visual design, things like that, right? The just severe necessity there is to understand where eyes go when they look at a screen,
right?
How to help those eyes travel to where you want them to go, right? Things like that. And they're always talking about what's the first part when a person opens up a screen. Like, let's be honest, we're very busy people in today's society. We don't want to scroll all the way down. We really don't, right? The more you make me scroll, the less I become interested. That's the human nature as of 2022. And you have to be able to compose enough information within 2 scrolls to give somebody what they're looking for, right? Or find a way to convince them to continue to scroll. But you can't lock that information. If they scroll twice or 3 times and they still don't know what's going on, they're going to click out. Like, that's just how web design is right now. And yeah, I mean, if you check that site, you open it up, like, it definitely takes way more than 2 scrolls to get anything. And I mean, as much as I appreciate that, they're trying to, we're back on Valhalla. It's like, what is Valhalla to new players? They don't know. I know, but they don't know. Like, you got to help get everybody involved. So
there was only 5 pictures to get people interested in the game
before the change.
Before you scroll down. I mean, even so, even the updated one, there was only like 5 or 6 photos. You know how many different map possibilities? You know how many different angles you want to see of these new characters? You want to show at least the concept art they had.
I mean,
like
we had on the
Discord.
Let me post this up again. Okay, I'm just going to show. Okay, here is what the first thing you see with Hero Quest. Okay, look at that. That just looks so like, wow, this is a game that has it all together.
Thumbnails are important on your videos. Don't forget.
And
one thing you can tell just from that picture, though, is you're actually looking at a game. You can tell that there's a board there. You can see cards. You can see miniatures. You know that this is a complete board game.
Exactly. And then just like comparison here, and I know this is kind of, you see a statue here. I mean, this is a trailer, and it's a good trailer. Don't get me wrong.
I love the trailer.
Yeah,
awesome trailer. But what does that tell?
What's the pull for new people? Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the pull for even a person who's played Heroscape or the past or whatever?
They're not going to know that's Heroscape just by looking at it.
I mean, and here you come to the bottom. Okay, you see a bunch of pieces here, but it's like
what am I supposed to do with that?
And glyphs are like, it's
I mean, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, from a design visual perspective, it's a mess.
That's a lot. Yeah.
It is a mess to see.
It's not contrary to Hero Quest, like I was mentioning, it's not arranged like a tabletop game. You don't necessarily know that's what it is. It could be an overglorified Lego set for all we
I know.
It's a sandbox game. You can do
Right.
whatever you want with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So show that a little bit.
Right.
Like even if one of the scenarios they had was like capture the flag, or if it was a different game mode, if it, because we're all used to the same death match that we play and we bonk each over the heads with dice all day long.
Right.
And like the fact that the game wasn't even 100% complete October 1st.
Mhm.
They didn't have enough time. And that's not on Avalon Hill. They just were not given
Yeah.
enough time to complete what their task.
It's really hard to advertise the prototypes because
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they only had 3D models to play with. They didn't even have printed cards. Even
Yeah.
when they showed off their gameplay video, which they shot, 2 days before it was edited. They were just working off of big sheets because they didn't have the cards confirmed and fully tested. And I'm like, I know you want to make it do right, but why wasn't there enough time?
Right.
What was done with the time that you guys had? I think they were handed a task that was it was said, hey, do something that was worth $250. They went, okay. And they made that. And it was just too much to handle with the time frame that they had.
And that's not mentioning all the different brands they work with,
Right. That's not the
They
only
probably
thing
had
they
to work
do.
on everything else. Yeah.
Yeah,
At
and
the
if
same time.
it's only about 4 or 5 people in the office,
Right. That's a lot of work.
I've worked with small teams before. Like it's a lot of work to do all that. Like, and especially there's a point where like I know there's the passion side of you, and then there's like the payment end where it's like, am I being paid enough for this passion?
No, yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not saying that it was lacking, but it was still point. It was like how much you don't want to be able to take work at home. You're trying to avoid that if you can. So you're trying to get as much as you can done at work.
Right.
But like I said, I just don't think Hasbro gave them enough time, to finish the project. They were like, okay, this needs to be done by this particular day and this, that. And it's like,
that's Crunch. And Crunch always, like, I mean,
yeah.
You want the best example for the video game fans out there, Cyberpunk 2077. Sure. Like, there was so many difficulties with the game when it first came out. And everyone's like, look, guys, you had so much time with this. What didn't you do? No, they didn't have enough time. They crunched those last couple of months to get that game out. They crunched, and you can see it in the game design. Like, there are bugs, or were bugs. They have now since fixed it, right? But the thing is, like, you want to be able to deliver a full product at completion, at release, and not have these bugs because, I mean, that's just you're gonna have a lot of angry people when you're playing this game and they're literally trying to play a game and their characters flying off the screen. No one wants that, right? But that's the kind of stuff that's happening because they were crunching, and you never want crunch in game design. Like I promise you, it's going to. You will see the results of a crunch in the final product, and it's rough. It comes out rough. It always looks rough, and yeah, I feel bad. It's just a lot of work went into that for such a small amount of time. But
and for all the work they did, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm playing devil's advocate here. They did a good job.
Yeah.
With what they had, and we knew that it was going to be all good. They were going to keep.
They were going to keep adding to that, building on it. But
yeah. They definitely had a future in mind. Probably still have a future in mind, but it's just presentation. It's like there were holes. There were definitely holes in it.
I think
it's a hard.
Go ahead, Jason.
A hard challenge when you're launching this Hasbro Pulse thing. It's like, so you got to answer the question: what is a tabletop miniatures game really as a general? Because people be coming here not knowing what tabletop gaming really is. Then you got to explain what type of game this is. Then you got to kind of mention what is Heroscape, and you kind of got to touch on why it's just not like Warhammer or something. Because people come here, this is Warhammer. It's not, and how is it different? but you don't want to necessarily talk about Warhammer. You don't want to talk about your competitors. It's like there's this really awkward set of questions you got to answer. You really don't have time to answer. And like the trailer, we got is obviously something for the hardcore fans. They know who all those names, the names being
Yeah, it
dropped
was
in there. They
definitely a
know who the
lore-based one,
narrator
story-based one.
is, and that gets your nice hardcore fans involved. But new people really have no idea what's going on. It's kind of a cool narration, but that's about it. There's not something super flashy to grab people's attention, say with like a video game, with like Call of Duty or some random sci-fi video game where you have characters running around firing guns. It's like an action movie. Even if you have no idea what the game is, it kind of catches your attention really fast. It's a hard thing to pull off for a tabletop game to try to get all this stuff in one small, concise piece of information.
We needed the cartoon to explain the game to us.
Or a cartoon.
Yeah, the webisode. Where's the webisode team at?
Yeah, like we really needed like not a 3D model thing. We needed like an actual more motion on screen. Like you're promoting to and marketing to the nostalgia of the old fans, and I think new fans as well, saying that what this is, it's the battle of all time. I mean, you could still have Thorgrim, talk about whatever, but I don't know. The main focus of them talking about the story is an angle, but it shouldn't. It was never like the majority, and I know what they wanted to keep it very story focused, but I'm not sitting down to go play with my friends and like build an army and and battle and roll dice knowing that this is a part of the story.
Right.
Because it isn't. The fact that I'm teaming Nigok Saw with Raylan and, I don't know, Deathwalkers, like it that has nothing to do with the story.
Right. To be fair, Raylan's evil now, so.
Yeah.
Sure, and like that it should be the game is built on the stories that you tell yourself. We all went to ScapeCon and we all, remember the stories that we had and the battles that we had, and the stories develop through our own gameplay. And that's the joy of Heroscape. And of course any tabletop game as well probably has that same mentality, but that's to me is the focus that they should have went on. Right. The fact that it's based in Valhalla and there's the different factions and they're at war and all this is great. And I didn't know too much about it until, AOA and doing some more research on the lore, and that's fantastic. But once again, HeroQuest is the story game. Heroscape is not. The fact that there is a story just gives a reason for everyone to be at the same party. It's not the reason that we all sit down and play against each other. Maybe for, of course, the telling the stories of the scenarios. So if that was the case, then why didn't Chris and Pat play the scenarios? Play the story scenario. Tease one of them. Not the scenario where you get to build your own map, and that's a cool idea, that's fun, but tease us and tell us, it's like, oh, okay, we're playing the scenario where we're having the Dawn Raider, we're following the Dawn Raider Syndicate, and they are going after this icon in the thing, and this is how we're following this, and they're reversing, going after, Scathereth in this, and his army of minions. And it's like, okay, cool. Like that's the main focus. Then follow that. But then again, then that would just be HeroQuest again, right? So it goes back to the whole, build your own battle, do what you want to do with the game, show the sandbox end of it,
right?
And instead of having the trailer be this simple, just showing all the characters and this really badass poses, and that's all fun, but
still doesn't tell you what the game is.
Right, it doesn't tell you what the game is.
Yeah.
You should have had
still kind of like another just longer teaser as what we originally got in a sense. Yeah.
So and
Yeah, and I really like that you brought that up, because from from my perspective, right? There's various names for people like me: lore enthusiast, lore scholar, lore monger, whatever.
Ooh, I do like Lore Scholar. That's a good one. I like
I've heard a
that.
lot of one. I've gotten a lot of names throughout the years, right? But regardless of the various titles and the various work that I've done regarding backstory, I know my concept, my topic, my subject matter is niche. It's always been niche. It's literally just a subgroup of the subgroup. I've known that from day one, right? When I saw them focus so much on the lore, as much as I appreciate it, I knew I was like, this is too much work for a niche group. I was like, you guys, you got to go more mainstream. You have to listen to the conversations of what people in the general are most interested by. What is the Heroscapers community? What is what they want to hear about? What is what they want to learn about? Right? The lore is awesome to me, and as a niche group, right? It's a small group of people. We've always been a small group of people, and I've always introduced people to the lore. I've always wanted to talk about it with others, but I've never expected everyone to know that, right? I've never expected everyone to know the story. And in fact, back in the day, I actually thought I was kind of annoying on the forums because I used to ask really annoying questions, back in the day, like, why do the well springs do this? And everyone's like, we don't know. Like, why are you asking us? And I have a couple threads of my younger self just being really, persistent. But like, that was me. That was my passion. That was what I was into. And I never once expected it to be a general thing. I never expected that to be something that everyone wanted to be into. And it was really interesting. As much as I enjoyed the work that was done, I knew it was going to struggle from day one because it's not a main topic. The lore has always been a support to, especially with what I do with video games, Final Fantasy and stuff like that. It's always a support to the game. It's never been the game itself. You know what I mean? People don't play the game for the lore. They play the game for the game. That's why they call it a game. So, and it's interesting. Like, and honestly, I will say, like, they have enough material. They should do some publications. I actually wish that, that's one of my big wishes for them, is to somehow turn what they made into a media source, right? Because it's something that people could read. It's something that people could get into and spread the word of Heroscape for future and where more people know about it, because now there's this media string on it. But like, aside from that, I personally, as from my lore scholar perspective, I was very surprised to see them focus so hard on the niche topic when I think they should have done something a little bit more mainstream.
And
they got a writer that
From
did
LucasArts, yeah.
Yeah, and so what
Yeah.
did he do? Write the dialogue for Thorgrim?
No, he helped Chris untangle all the plot holes and plot threads.
okay.
was trying
So-
to rebuild that
He had to rebuild.
narrative
Yeah, there was a
storyline.
lot of like drop offs because. So sorry, not to take over the topic, but really quick TLDR. 2007, there was an entire plot string with the southern continent and Aquila and the Morrow Hive, all of that, and that entire plot thread just died. Like, I mean, they did never finish. It was never concluded. It just started, and then nothing. And then boom, 2009, we're in Dungeons and Dragons, and we're like, wait, what happened to the Hive?
Okay.
What happened to Aquila? So that was a major plot hole, right? And then, of course, explaining how now with the current era of trademarks in 2022, we can't just willy-nilly throw out references. We can't just use the D&D trademark without some serious, consultations and paperwork done in regards to that. So they can't talk about Battle for the Underdark. I mean, they never even brought it up once. I don't know if you noticed
Right.
that. They never even said it on the presentation that it was a
Yeah.
thing. They can't,
Yeah.
right?
That's sad.
And that's
That's
a lot
so
of
sad.
material. That's a lot of material that's just kind of floating in the netherworld, just sitting there, hoping for a second chance. Because I mean, as much as I love Zograss Hardscale, right? I appreciate the work was done on Zograss Hardscale. He wasn't that planned lizardfolk hero. He was the lizardfolk hero we created in response to the missing element. But that's the thing. It's like we're never gonna get those. It's just empty space, right? And so in regards to that, he had to take all of that material that he could find, and that's the thing. From what I understand, he was using Thorman's journal mainly, and then he was reconstructing what he wanted to do with Age of Annihilation from that, but minus the D&D stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of, that's
Yeah, I feel like it would have been a lot easier for them to just be like, okay, let's if we wanted to tell us something, do something with Heroscape, instead of just spending all of this money to make a brand new game, is
Right.
to use the water to see what people like and go, let's do some research. And they found the journals, they found the comic books, I'm sure, and be like, hey,
And the
there's
webisode,
this.
yeah.
Why don't we make some money on the side and sell a book and some comic books, and then get people interested into the game
Into
and
this,
see
yeah.
where the ball rolls,
Yeah.
and then we bring the game back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why shoot your shot all at once and do that? Why?
Yeah.
Because
Especially
you're
with such a niche
Hasbro
topic.
and you're a game or toy company. You own Marvel, you own G.I. Joe, and you own Star Wars. Things
And-
that participate in all of those mediums.
And I'm not starting anything. I promise. This is not to be, controversial anyway. But, currently considering what's going on with Magic the Gathering, the name Hasbro hasn't been passed around in good light as of late. So it's like,
Sure.
you get,
That's
we're
probably
Hasbro,
true.
and I'm like, wait, that's you get more of those, wait
Right.
a second.
But, regardless of that, though, Hasbro isn't going to go anywhere.
Right.
They still have to make more monopolies.
There's no weight. Yeah. There's no weight. And not a lot of people even know Hasbro brands. I mean, they know the name most of the time, but it's like Hasbro, and then they have to think about it. Yeah, you don't get that immediate attachment.
You
to
see the
all
name in
these
the
brands.
box, basically.
Yeah.
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 Right.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And
On
developing.
the topic,
Yeah. Wait. One second, Jason. I just want to say on developing narrative storylines. I mean, I kind of do that with Heroscape, and I think it's an okay approach to have, but you really got to take your time with it and to develop an
Not a good
audience.
marketing burst thing.
Yeah,
for it,
yeah. It's something that takes time to grow the audience, especially an audience who just they'd rather play the game. So I think on that point it was something that was rather quick. I mean, I and Jeremy, we enjoyed it immensely. Knowing more
it was
about
great.
the
Don't
ins
get me
and outs.
wrong.
Yeah,
I loved it.
yeah. I mean, but
It's
I
not a good
understand
marketing.
we're the niche. We're the niche. How you say that word? Niche. Niche.
The
Niche
niche,
market. Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to everybody else who's just I just want to play the game and show me the miniatures painted and and show us the game's cards and stats and stuff. So yeah, I totally get that. Okay, Jason, go ahead. Are you gonna be talking about what the stuff you sent me?
no, I got one more thing before I get to that.
Okay,
I was gonna comment on the whole lore stuff for quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's sort of a running gag in the tabletop game industry that everybody wants to be Games Workshop, just because they've set the business model of what a successful tabletop miniatures company
the
looks
books
like.
and stuff. Yeah.
And with the whole lore thing, that is a huge thing that Games Workshop pushes. When you see those massive 300-page rule books, they're about 200 pages of lore. And so you get the entire
I could
history
hit
of the
someone
human
with those things.
Imperium.
They're so big.
You can kill somebody. I probably have. I need to keep fucking around here for that reason.
No recommendations on this chat. We're not
No,
recommending
They're
anything.
very dangerous weapons. I guess so, and the reason why Games Workshop does that, it plays, I think, a lot better with Warhammer in some ways and Heroscape. Is Heroscape's got a lot of very specific characters, and they're unique heroes. They got a couple little buddies around them, whereas in Warhammer you've got a fairly generic army per se. You got your Space Marines, and they encourage you then to kind of tap into the existing lore to create your own custom version of those. You give the guys custom paint jobs, you make your own little history. Like my Tau Empire guys that I was sitting back here when I played them, I had my whole own history of how they fit into the Tau Empire, what their role was in the military, what kind of missions they would go on. And that's trying to get the players really engaged in the story. But then also with Heroscape never really had that level of in-depth storytelling to it, right? I mean, you had those 14 chapters of the journal.
They
and
changed
it
writers
became-
3 times in
Oh,
3
yes.
years. So yeah.
So trying to push the lore on the Heroscape could be awesome and could be very profitable in the long run. But if the players, like I said, if the players don't really want that because it's been more of a tournament game, then it can be a bit difficult for people to take that in. There were a few comments.
It's not
on
a
the
good
video about
foundation.
that.
It's a long, slow climb to push lore on Heroscapers. Yes.
And, when you get to the point where it could be awesome, I have my other computer or other monitor over here. I had I think the 9th edition 40K trailer, and it's a freaking video game trailer for a tabletop game. It's all CG, Imperial Guard getting smashed by the Necrons, the Space Marines dive in, start kicking face. It's all 3D animations, amazing. So you can do this stuff with a tabletop game, get people interested, but it's probably really expensive.
Oh yeah, the CGI, yeah.
This is not a cheap trailer when they made this thing like 2 years ago.
That's why I stop motion the heck out of the thing, It's like,
Hey,
seriously.
they could have absolutely reached out to Ryan, and not told anybody.
Right.
And
Oh,
said,
I
hey,
could've
stop what
made
you're
it.
doing.
I could have made a trailer that was, a storytelling trailer. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or just anybody else. There's tons of stop motion animators out there who know what they're doing, It wouldn't take much. It doesn't have to be me, although I have the formula for it, but it doesn't have to be me. There are tons of very good stop motion animators out there. If you want to go that format, or even just skilled animators just to do an animation. I mean, especially like with the Heroscape animations done back in the early 2000s. I mean, there's so much advancements in technology to where you could make something very, very presentable from a production company that isn't, that doesn't have to be all too famous. You don't have to, spend as much for it. So yeah, I think kind of missed opportunity there.
I mean, you could even have a lot of fun with Drake Alexander and his buddies are just World War II soldiers. You could do a live action trailer.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you think I have them as the main protagonists in Tales of Valhalla? It's because they'd probably be the most relatable characters because they're human. They're soldiers. Exactly. I'm not going to tell you how I manage things, but yeah, exactly.
You know, it's been a really crazy opening for a new Heroscape set, like picking up old designs that never got finished, like the Ronin samurai that they promised, or like the guy that was designing the samurai. He was talking about making some Ronin, some mercenary samurai. He was talking about doing our samurai cavalry. Like, do you know how insane that would be if we saw a trailer of a character that had been promised like 12 years ago? Just boom, there it is. And we're like, bro, like, I need it. Like, I mean, you know how many people would drop to get that? Because they were waiting for it for this whole time. Like, if someone did the research and was like, oh, hey, so they said that we were supposed to make this character back in 2010. How about we make it now? Do stuff like that. That would have been insane. You know what I mean? Like, to pick up off of old ideas and then bring them now.
Right. I mean, you could definitely
roll them out.
They could have absolutely fed into our nostalgia with the way they told the story before. Like, they could have. I didn't want a full rework of the game. I don't want a rehashing, but at least with the trailer, do like flashbacks of them getting, the Dawn Raiders and Fiabani from the pirates, and them teleporting or whoever teleporting them to
the
Valhalla.
webisode. Yeah, the webisode.
So you saw them as pirates. So you knew they were historical, and then showed over time they grew into the technology character and the armor and the futuristic vision that they had for them now. And so it doesn't have to be this, like, what do they call it? Like the online games. Oh, what do they call the online scavenger hunts. What do you call those now?
Oh, the ARG games.
ARG, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be this, like, treasure hunt, literally.
Yeah.
Because how many
Some
times
people will get into that, though. Like, the ARGs
no,
are
for sure.
crazy.
But if we didn't know we were expecting that, like, we were just expecting, oh, cool, lore, nice, cool, concept art, cool, nice. Like, there was no teases of what an ARG would be like. If they put out, if they had if their teaser trailer was that first trailer. Okay, and they had hints of other things and a barcode to go to a website, and that website had, some kind of log of all these different characters and
the
different...
Curie cipher that he created, the new
Right,
letters.
yeah, if it had the
Yeah.
language already, and we had to decipher the language, and then
Right.
type those codes and figure out what codes turned into what, and they had a virtual keyboard on the thing, and so we had to type in and talk to, somebody, something like that. I mean, sure, it's a
Right.
lot of work, but like I said, they didn't have enough time.
It's engaging the audience.
It's engaging, and we talked about how the Discord was engaging to an extent, but was gatekeeping so many people off.
Right.
But what was I starting with?
What shoulda, coulda.
Of course,
Yeah,
of course.
the different suggestions on how to draw in
Right.
the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
No, and
easy, it's easy
yeah.
to Monday morning quarterback too, because
Yes.
I mean
Yeah.
we're in their position. So like I
Yeah,
said, I mean
and,
a lot of
yeah,
this.
I acknowledge it too.
Yeah.
I'm no business person. I don't
Right.
own my own business. I don't.
Right.
I have run 0 successful Kickstarter campaigns. I have run 0 Kickstarter campaigns. I don't have the history, but it's just
I failed
acknowledging
it
it from
too.
Jason understands the failure.
yeah.
It means
It's
to
just from a
fail.
It's really hard to execute. Yes.
from a consumer perspective. I think I could say just like what I saw visually, what I was presented with, and what I enjoyed, but also know like what I enjoy is very, very specific subgroup, and if I enjoyed it, then not everyone enjoyed it. So it's like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's like I'm like, okay, so what are you doing for everybody? What are you doing for the general perspective? And I don't think it really reached out to everybody that much. And that was,
No, because not even all the concept art they had on the Discord even reached their Instagram.
yeah.
Like I
yeah,
went through their
but
Instagram the other day, and
it
I'm
wasn't
like,
being
"Where's
posted.
everything else?"
It wasn't
Like there
on
was
Twitter.
only like 7 pictures or whatever. I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah,
what-
no,
what's
they
going
were
on?"
they were retweeting, and posting on Instagram the blog posts on Hasbro Pulse, which that's another thing, another rule of internet strategy, spread the word or whatever. You don't sending people to different sites when they're on one site is usually not very successful. If someone's on Twitter, they want to stay on Twitter, right? So
Mhm.
Twitter actually works is literally tooled. The algorithm is literally tooled to keep you on that site at all times, right?
Yeah.
So the site doesn't even want you clicking off of it. So the more you keep them on Twitter, the more they're going to be like, oh, what's this? And there wasn't a lot of active tweets. There wasn't a lot of active Instagram posts that got people asking the question, what is this? So much as unless you were already following them, you probably didn't even see it,
Exactly.
or following someone that was posting it. If you did not already have a Heroscape person in your consistent views, you were not going to see it ever. So
Yeah.
and that's not how you. As much as we wish we could make Heroscape a trending topic, it's going to take a little bit of work,
Well,
Yeah.
we got our work cut out for us now.
Right.
And
1,000
Jason,
tweets. So that's what you do.
now Jason, did you want to bring up this subject now?
Just talk more about Hasbro.
Yeah, let's just bring that in, because I do have like a Hasbro type comment I got a couple points still, but let's bring this up real quick, because I have these. You sent me these cards, so I might as well just bring them up.
So let me this up over here. I got my little notes over here. So what we're going to talk quickly about here is I spent some time diving into the 2021 Hasbro financial report. So this is like the document they put out at the end of the year, and it's basically a report to their investors talking about how the year went, but also kind of serves as a bit of a sales pitch to future possible investors. And I think the point I want to kind of bring up when I was looking at this is this whole campaign, we've kind of been talking about Hasbro and Avalon Hill as they're interchangeable, but I honestly think that Hasbro doesn't really care a whole lot about Avalon Hill. They're kind of this little hobby project thing, and it really has to do a lot with just the sheer size of numbers and the amount of money that Hasbro's involved in. So do you want to bring up image 1, Ryan, there? It's this image 1 overview.
Yep. There we go.
And this is from one of the first opening pages of the financial report. And it just gives a brief overview of what Hasbro did. And this is 2021. So 6.42 billion in revenue with about 763 million in profit. So considering that Heroscape was 2 billion and here's Hasbro with, over 750 million in profit that they could just kind of burn, or not burn, but they had 700 million in profit. They could very easily spend not a ton of money, but a decent chunk of money to launch Heroscape if they really wanted to. So I think just given the fact they have so much profit and what they needed to launch Heroscape, they really didn't care that much about launching it. Can you bring up? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was about to ask. Do you think you consider that, or do you think you might consider this evidence that they wanted this to fail from the beginning, or is that just speculation?
No, I don't think they wanted to fail. I think Avalon Hill is kind of doing their own thing. They probably got some rules they have to operate in.
They're like a cousin on the side, yeah.
Yeah, they're basically probably like don't lose money and do what you want kind of a thing. So as long as they're not burning cash and they're making a profit, Hasbro's probably going to be relatively happy with Avalon Hill. But I want to bring up image 2 and I'll kind of help explain this a bit more.
For sure.
So this one is from next page in the report, and it's kind of their gaming section. And what you'll notice here is it says gaming expertise and growth, and they got a bunch of logos up here. Of course, Magic the Gathering, there's Dungeons and Dragons, and then they have an assortment of the casual board games. What's not here is Avalon Hill, and what's not in this entire report is Avalon Hill. This 170-page report does not mention Avalon Hill at all. Avalon Hill does periodically show up in some of the quarterly reports, which are, every quarter they do something similar to this. But just from this section alone, you can tell that Avalon Hill is not a big money maker for Hasbro. And they even mentioned to the right, Magic the Gathering, Hasbro's largest gaming brand, is just shy of 1 billion in revenue. Crazy. So once again, Hasbro's talking billions. Avalon Hill's down here in 2 million territory. So
or they wanted us to bring the 2 million, yeah.
Yes. So now move on to number 3 here. This is because Hasbro, so image 3, Hasbro does actually do some investing in tabletop gaming, and this page here talks about how they invested $1 billion in Magic the Gathering, and it gave them a nice huge return over the past 5 years. So Hasbro does want to invest money in their properties, just not a whole lot going towards Avalon Hill and this kind of small boutique thing. And I get a little bit more to why I think that is here in just a moment. Bring up image 4. So this next page here talks about the overall strategy for Hasbro. And their tagline is building bigger, more profitable brands through the brand blueprint. And Hasbro clearly wants to focus on their big, well-established brands and kind of pumping more money into them to make them more profit. And down at the bottom of this picture, you have Transformers, My Little Pony, and Dungeons & Dragons, and they talk about some other big brands. So Hasbro's looking to be more of a kind of a lower risk investing type strategy thing where they don't want to try to throw away a ton of money. Because the tabletop game industry is really broken down in about 5 parts. You have your collectible card games, which Hasbro dominates with Magic the Gathering. You've got your role-playing, which Hasbro's a major player with Dungeons & Dragons. You've got your casual board games, which Hasbro dominates with Monopoly and Operation and all those games. And you're left with kind of your boutique good board games, which is mostly at this point Asmodee, because they own things like Catan, Ticket to Ride, and then there's other companies make things like, you've probably heard of Wingspan or Scythe, those more Euro-style games, those big American box games with cool miniatures in there. And this is where Avalon Hill could fit in if Hasbro wanted them to. They could basically invest in Avalon Hill, because this is what Avalon Hill's specialty is. This is what HeroQuest falls into. This is Axis and Allies. They're in this kind of cool board games strategy, but Hasbro doesn't really want to spend money to do that. And the 5th and final thing is the tabletop miniatures game, which of course Games Workshop dominates with. They're approaching nearly 500 million in revenue. And not quite there yet, but they've been going up, and they're getting pretty close to that for annual revenue.
Wild.
So Hasbro could potentially make an argument to their investors, okay, we want to take like 10, 20, 30 million, maybe $50 million and make a serious competitor against Games Workshop. They've got the money and the resources to really do it. where they could, whether it's Heroscape or some other tabletop miniatures game, they're probably the best company to try to do it, and they already control 3 of the 5 major aspects of this industry. And through Avalon Hill, they could potentially control the 4th one. And frankly, they could probably go out there and just buy a bunch of these independent game companies and take control of things like properties like Wingspan, Scythe, and some of those really popular games I mentioned, Gloomhaven. I mean, they could honestly probably buy Games Workshop if they wanted to. They had the cash sitting around to do it.
Oh wow!
But so that's where they're at right now. So I've mentioned they want a little bit of low risks, and now this is where Hasbro gets into a little squirrely moment for them. They're trying to deal with here. Nothing directly related to gaming, but they're taking some
They have their
flack
own
for this.
TV, yeah.
Yeah, so in 2019, they purchased a company called Entertainment One, which is a media production company. This company here they kind of have their hands in a lot of different films, especially international distribution. So their name is on things like, what was it, 1917, the World War I film. They've got some distribution rights currently for the relative recent movie, The Woman King. They have some interaction with the Walking Dead TV series. I believe, they're a major producer of the Discovery Channel's always popular show Naked and Afraid. So Entertainment One has their hands in a lot of major productions, and I don't think it went super well for Hasbro because like I said, they bought this in 2019, 6 months before COVID hit, and all the lockdown just screwed over the movie industries for a while. So do you want to go to the last image here, Ryan? Image 6, and this is from a website, news website, Retail Die, from a few weeks ago. Hasbro is basically looking to unload a whole chunk of this E1 Entertainment Studio. Now they bought it for $4 billion. They spent a ton of money on this. And at this point, 3 years later, they've tried to sell off the music portion of it, and now they're trying to get rid of almost all the properties, and basically Hasbro's going to keep a core function of this E1 to make media content for their own brands. Like basically now E1 is a Transformers and My Little Pony studio. That's what they're going to become, and all the other properties they have access to and the rights are going to get sold off. So the fact that Hasbro kind of made this big bet a few years ago, and now it's not paying off, this inherently is going to make investors a little suspect about if Hasbro were to try to go and do another big bet. So that's maybe why Hasbro's kind of adopting this kind of low-risk strategy by focusing on their core profitable brands and not trying to do something crazy like take on Games Workshop via Avalon Hill and Heroscape or something like that.
Because they also they bought that one, was it D&D Beyond? They bought that this year, I think. And
they may have.
Yeah, so that was a sizable. That was a sizable purchase. I didn't realize how much they spent on that. But so now they're trying to push. Was it Dungeons and Dragons has gotten? I can't name off the top of my head, but they definitely get a publication every 3 months or something like that, and then they have they have a new edition of Dungeons and Dragons being play tested right now, the 1D&D stuff. So they're focusing a lot on that. Like, I mean, there's like 3 different channels right there already: the D&D Beyond stuff, the books, and then the new play testing for the new edition. And yeah, they just want to. We're back at phase 1 when Wizards of the Coast got rid of Heroscape, saying they wanted to focus on core brands. Hasbro wants to focus on the same core brands. Yay!
The Dragons is the core brand.
We're not a core brand.
So what I'm curious about, if Jason, maybe you could answer this. What I'm curious about is if learning this information, how Hasbro was trying to maybe do some low risk. I mean, I guess maybe $2 million is low risk for them, but why was $2 million the goal? Why couldn't they just put less money into it and give us a smaller package for a much cheaper price? Why was the goal set so high? Was it to test the waters to see, HeroQuest did so well, it's probably the same crowd. they'll just bump the price up. Is it something as simple as that, or what is your analysis?
The 2 million, I talked about this in my video. I think if you do the estimated math, because we obviously don't know the internal details of how to break down the cost of Heroscape, but when you factor in the tooling cost of making all the molds of the pieces, then you factor in the labor cost that they spent so far, because they want to recoup the hours that their employees have spent at Avalon Hill developing all the stuff for Heroscape. And I'm assuming the War Council got paid. I didn't ask any of them that, but I'd assume they did. If they didn't, they signed a bad contract. And then, of course, you got to factor in the money that's going to be spent to finish up the remaining production of Heroscape. And then also the initial investment in terms of the amount of plastic to actually produce the miniatures. And that all can very easily come out to about $2 million. So I think the 2 million goal was basically to cover the initial production cost of Heroscape Age of Annihilation, and then that massive starter set we had there would be broken down into about maybe 7 individual product SKUs that would then find their way into the retail channel. And now you've got about a year of Heroscape product out there, and Avalon Hill has already covered their cost, and they're effectively at very minimal risk of losing money on it at this point.
Yeah.
Realistically, there was no way of. I mean, I guess that's from the beginning planning point. 2 million was always the goal to begin with, or I should say, 2 million was the only goal based on the work they already put into it to essentially make sure that they made their money back.
Yes, I think what their strategy would have been is, you look out a year of a product line, because if you release a starter set for a miniature game, let's say with Age of Annihilation, it probably would have been, maybe 30 of those miniatures, whichever ones they would have been. And if they only made that and there was nothing else to purchase at the time, if someone walked into a retail store, played the game, purchased it, and there's nothing else for a year, you're going to lose interest in that game. So I think Avalon Hill rightly would have wanted, 5 or 6 more booster boxes available that people could buy, plus then the castle terrain set, plus a jungle terrain set. And therefore they came to 2 million because, okay, they did the math of what the upfront cost of all that would be for approximately that 1 year of product releases. And that's how they came to that number. So they kind of figured out what their product release strategy was for the first year of Heroscape and did the math as to how much it would cost, and decided to clump it into, $250 starter sets, because that's probably for what we saw in Age of Annihilation, $250 is a reasonable price for what was there.
Yeah.
Which is a very high price because it was such a big set.
Yeah.
Huge
Whereas
set.
if they would have gone with maybe a much smaller, more normalized master set, it would have been a lower initial investment, but then Avalon Hill would still have to upfront the money to get the tooling made for the first wave, whatever you want to call it, and they maybe didn't want to take that risk.
That was going to be an awkward deal with the mailman, I promise you. I do not know how they were going to get that many sets to me. I'm like,
oh,
I backed
the dream.
Number.
The dream is shattered.
But I'm thinking about the mail person would have been so upset. They're going to be like, "What? I have to carry all of these upstairs?" All these Age of Annihilation box sets. Yeah, no.
They would have needed a separate truck to come out of the bigger truck to bring everything to you.
I would have gotten in so much trouble. It's like, what are you doing? You dealing? No, it's Heroscape.
Awesome.
It's so funny.
I wanted to touch on one last little thing about going back to some of the Dungeons and Dragons stuff. One interesting note is that with Dungeons and Dragons, the miniatures are not produced by Hasbro. They're actually licensed through WizKids, which is a separate company who handles all the development and production of miniatures, which I think, once again, that's probably kind of Hasbro's low risk, just because miniatures are the single most expensive thing in terms of the initial investment into a tabletop game, whatever. So let WizKids spend all the money to make all the molds, and then they can make the profits on it, and Hasbro just gets a little bit of money back in terms of licensing costs.
Right.
And okay, so that was very interesting. with when it comes to the numbers, because when I was looking at those cards, I'm just like, I don't know what to make of this, and Jason explains things so very well.
Oh, can
The
I
shareholder
actually
side
dive
of
way
it,
back? One more thing, way back to the lore comment we talked
Sure.
about earlier. I just thought of one more thing. One of the reason why Avalon Hill would want to go down the lore route is intellectual property is very, very lucrative potentially. Like
Yeah.
Games Workshop's doing this now. They make a big deal in Games Workshop in their annual report about how they want to, their term, exploit their IP and license that out. Because if you ever got something as big as like Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever, that's tons of money.
Yeah,
So
everyone
in
knows the
theory,
name. Yeah.
if Heroscape ever got that popular, that's just the easy revenue stream for them. And as a Games Workshop, they make a decent money licensing out their games for video games and whatever, and they make some pretty and there's some pretty awesome.
They're already networked in the Magic the Gathering because one of the latest crossovers was a Warhammer deck, Warhammer themed deck.
So my friend completely sold out of the store and didn't tell me he had them in stock yet. But I'm not angry.
You don't hold any grudges. No,
but absolutely, like there is so much potential for this game. And it's like sometimes I know you guys do, but sometimes I feel like I'm the only one that gets it. It's like of how open and how many different possibilities this game has, because it is. You can tell an expansive story with that. Then you can make your own stories and have your own battles and make your own maps and own game modes and own characters, and everything combines in this sandbox of playing the game the way you want and telling the stories you want. And like between the merch, the movies, the television, the comic books, the books, like you could do a lot with this because the difference between D&D, this is my problem with the D&D movie, is that with D&D you make your own character. So to see the characters on the screen, I'm like, I couldn't give a shit because I am not playing that character. Okay? So at the end of the day, when I see, let's say, Sergeant Drake Alexander, I see Raylan, like those are characters I can follow throughout the story. So that to me is the bigger difference between D&D and Heroscape or even Warhammer. Warhammer, I'm not familiar with any character. They're just, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
I know what a
know
Space
Warhammer.
Marine is.
Right.
So.
I don't know what those. I know the general. I know those are,
Yeah.
but like I don't know Sergeant Drake Alexander is equivalent in Warhammer.
Right.
But like I love watching those like CG, like even the fan ones that are on the internet are insane. And so maybe that's what this game needs, right? We need a talented person to take their own time, a lot like what Ryan does with Tales of Valhalla, and just make this really awesome, CG playtest to be like, hey, this is what Heroscape is.
Unreal Engine, I mean, is out there. You could,
Yeah.
I mean, it would take a lot of work, and I plan to eventually learn Unreal Engine, even though that's going to be a beast when I try to learn it. But I mean, it's out there. It's definitely doable. Just it's taking the time to figure it all out. Yeah, for sure. And okay, and then we had our swear word content of the night too. Just want to shout that out to audiences. I know I'm turning to Batman again. I'm sorry.
So this guy I'm holding right here is from the Tyranid. This is the Swarm Lord, so he's kind of like the Sergeant Drake Alexander of their bug race, because he's a named character who's got a lore behind him. But the thing that Games Workshop used to do, I don't know if they still kind of promote it this way, but then there's like generic versions of commanders that they really encourage you to take, and they tell you that's you in the battlefield, and that's your character, make him your own, and everyone else around you is your army. So they play up that lore thing in that way to kind of help sell the fact that you're actually on the battlefield with your troops and fighting alongside them. So
yeah. No, that'd actually be cool if they had like a generic Kyrie warrior that you could draft in, and it's like, oh no, that's my Kyrie warrior, that's me, the Kyrie warrior, and just
Well, and that would have been one of the fun things with Age of Annihilation too, because the prospect of unpainted figures is you can paint them and kind of in that sense make them your own.
Make them your own.
Make them your own paint. And And I mean, that's one of the beauties about Heroscape, though, because we say this all the time. You can do customs. I mean, the game begs you to do customs basically with it. So, yeah. Now, if that's everything so far. I mean, this is a great discussion.
Yes.
2 more points, and then I'm done.
Okay.
But let me think. Okay, communication. This is another thing that just kind of made my eye twitch, especially like in the last week and a half. We were told, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we were told that near the end there was going to be some really surprising stuff, and there was, but not the way that we thought, because nothing really happened. That was surprising, considering we were told, okay, just hold on, things are gonna happen, okay. And I mean, a TikTok video was released. They showed that, and this was like, I think this was like the last.
That wasn't even planned. That was
the last week and a half. There wasn't nothing. There was, like, again, correct me if I'm wrong,
No
but
drops.
no updates, no drops, no communication at all. It's like, guys, it's like dropped off from the face of the earth. Maybe commenting on the forum chat sometimes, but nothing. And I'm just like, okay, where's this explosive, surprising thing that was supposed to, or things that was supposed to gain momentum towards the end? It's like, I don't know. It's like no communication. That's just, it was just another eye twitch thing. It's just like, and I think that is one of my probably one of my biggest rants. It just,
crowdfunding is kind of won before the campaign even starts. When you when you launch a campaign, you want really about 80 to 90% of your funding effectively lined up in terms of fans. Right. And at Age of Annihilation just didn't have that lined up.
Yeah, we didn't even hit it. What, the 3,000 mark? We didn't even hit that to the end of the month. So I mean, at that point, it was just
about the first 3 days of Age of Annihilation added up to about 18% of their goal. And that's kind of like, once that first couple of days are done, those are all the people who were ready with the money in hand. They just finally got around to the website to go ahead and make their initial purchases. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's kind of cool to have like a nice big surprise at the end. But at that point, I think most people have already made their decision whether
they've already clicked out. Clicked in.
It's not a great strategy to have a last-minute surprise, a secret surprise in the last week.
Or whatever.
No, all of the surprises, or majority of the surprises, should have been out October 1st. The game complete, done, ready. Not show us all the cards, of course, because you want to keep some eggs in your basket. So when you open up the box, you have some. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. That was awesome. But yeah, have everything play tested and done, and the cards decided. Like, sure, people were upset with the cards. I get it. I was too. But if that was the design they were going to go with,
to be honest, I wasn't. I mean, it didn't really matter much to me.
I'm going to be honest. I knew people were going to make it their way anyway. Like, they already do with the other cards.
They've already done it already today.
They've already done it already. Like, within
honestly, looking at those designs, I'm like, why didn't they do that already? But that's a whole other thing. But yeah, all of that should have been done October 1st. The fact that by even the last hour, it wasn't done.
Yeah.
Is kind of like itching me. Got like a rash because of it, actually. I gotta go see a doctor.
And okay, anything else on that? Because I do have one final thing, and this final thing, it's actually a very, I want to bring it up. It's a very hard thing to say, but I do want to bring it up. But before I do, anything else on that?
Spit it out, man.
Okay. I could be wrong about my assessment of this, and Jason, you can correct me if you want to, because I admit I do not know everything. But assessing the honest reality of the situation, one of the reasons why they did a crowdfunding campaign for this was to see if the market was open to have this game on the market, to make money on this game. And if the crowdfunding campaign failed, then that's an indicator that it's not viable for the market. So based on that, as a business decision for Hasbro, should they just lock it up, throw away the key, never bring it up again? Is that a possibility? Is that just something that they should do? I mean, to give an honest assessment, probably so. And that's coming from me. I want it. I want it back. I want them to try again. But if it ends up being nothing ever happens from it again, and taken into account, flaws with the campaign, there are reasons why I failed, and the community itself wasn't the problem. I think that, and I had a thought, assessing that and facing that reality of them just throwing away because of that effect. And I know, like, one thing that Dan, and to counter that for a second though, I know Dadscaper said, like, if this were any other campaign raised $1 million, it would have been funded.
Yeah, I've heard that very frequently.
So I hope that's something they can approach the executives at Hasbro with. And we don't know what's been happening the last 2 weeks. Probably nothing. Probably absolutely nothing. But wouldn't it be a fair assessment to say, lock it up, throw away the key, and just never bring it up again?
I'm confused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe I'm not clear. So
yeah, no. So
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
I think what Ryan's trying to say, it's like, if their initial assessment is that Heroscape is not a viable product on the market because the crowdfunding was unsuccessful, right? Like, if that's what they're going to get from it, then I mean, that's the truth of the matter, because a $250 offering is not viable for the market. Like, it's not going to get the money they want. It's not going to get the vision they're going to look for. And if that's what they want, then yes, lock it up, because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean,
they have to present it differently in order to get what they're looking
not
for.
saying
I don't
about
know if they're willing to do that.
Being happy with that decision, but is that the right decision to make?
Because if they want $2 million to start, right, that is not something that, just like, unless they marketed much differently, that's not something they're going to be able to get. And if that's all they want, if that is the requirement for Heroscape, then we're probably going to have to just, look to other game industries or something like that to bring it back. Because it's just too much of an ask right now.
And it's kind of like the dark approach to how we approach. I mean, I am gonna approach the future in a different perspective, but this is just something that I thought about, and it's something that we really need to. I mean, I want to give a positive take too near the end of the podcast, but I also want to face that reality as well.
Good stuff, but sure.
Well, if that's the case, sure. But
there's a million different ways we could do this differently.
Yeah. But the only way I feel that we could ever get this back, even before AOA, the only way we can get this game back in full form is to scream louder than our lungs could even command. And we all agree on that. That's an easy ask, But I think based on our experience, and as we grow as a community, and as we come closer and closer to each other over time, I think we'll find the rhythm that we need in order to essentially collectively afford the megaphone that we need to all scream into it. Mm-hmm. So the giant boot of Hasbro can listen to us. This could happen any day, truly. But for us though, because I still feel we're very closed in. We're still gated.
A very insular community, yeah.
Yeah.
as much as I love the forums, like I really do, like because
Mhm.
I have a lot of history in them. That
Yeah.
formatting of communication has changed in the recent years, and a lot
It's
of the new
constantly
community
changing.
members, yeah, constantly changing. And obviously, I'm not telling you must adapt. Like obviously, be comfortable with your presence as best as you can. But like with the way social media works, with the way communication works, news, all that stuff, you're
Mhm.
just not gonna get enough people to get on the forums to learn things. We have to spread out and start posting stuff on Twitter and start posting stuff on different sites. And I mean, we got our YouTube channels and we're posting it there, but like, who's typing Heroscape video in the search box? You
Yeah.
know,
No,
they need to have a reason to do that.
there.
We so it's good. Like I mean, like I said, the offerings have been building up. There are more videos now because of AOA, and that's pretty cool. I mean, we have a video titled "Heroscape" from Baltimore, right? And that's pretty big, I think. There's a
Yeah.
Heroscape video from MWG Studios. So like the topic's out there now. We just got to keep it going. Get more
Mhm.
people familiar with it. Find more Heroscapers and bring them back because you know I found out. So this kind of segueing a little bit, but I found out last week. I was playing Heroscape at my local gaming store. I decided to continue to do that because I started because of AOA. And this guy shows up and he's like, "I'm not doing anything. Can I play?" And it turns out his dad is actually a huge customs maker. Guy just living in my town making Heroscape customs, and I did not even know until he decided to be like, "Oh yeah, look at my customs." I'm like, "Bro, do you have an account on Heroscape?" She's like, "No," and I'm like, "What do you do? You're making Heroscape customs and no one knows about
You
this? That's
have an account on
crazy."
Etsy or something?
Right? Yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
just
like,
like, "That's
Come on, because
crazy."
here,
Like,
take my money. Take my money
I
now.
was
You
like,
have a customer right now.
I thought that was super cool that this he's been making customs this whole time on his own, right? Just
Mhm.
literally on his own, and that's the big thing about Heroscape is how it draws that creativity out of people. That's what we can market with is like, hey, it doesn't just have to be Heroscape. You want to play
No.
anything else on this. I know a friend uses it for Dungeons and Dragons. I know someone else uses it for BattleTech, right? Like, I mean, it has multiple uses, and I think that's something they should have, they can post out and. Yeah,
Yeah, I
everybody
mean,
use it, right?
Yeah.
Hasbro doesn't even have to sell Heroscape the game. They could
Yeah,
just
just
sell
give us
Heroscape
tiles.
the
Just make the
terrain.
tiles.
Yeah.
Do you know how
All
much
they
money?
have to
You know how much
do.
money you can
The
make with the
modular
tiles?
terrain. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
just sell the
modular terrain's
terrain.
always
Just bring back
been
hot lava
groundbreaking.
death. Just
Yeah. Like, it doesn't have to be just for Heroscape. I
It's
mean,
just
sure, I would feel
smart.
bad because High Ground's been doing some great work. I think High Ground is definitely the future of what Heroscape maps and other games would go for. But but still, it's like that if you want low risk, just do that.
Yeah.
That'll sell because one, that is just a toy. They sell toys, and
right.
kids and adults all alike will find a use for it.
How much
You know,
how much billions of dollars, I don't know about billion, well yeah, probably billions that Lego makes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You could have just told it as like this is a new
They got
Lego
theme
idea.
parks.
Like
They got theme parks. They got all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
And I don't and hi Marion there on the chat, and chat's pretty quiet tonight. But hola Marion, ¿cómo estás? I think focusing on the community, it was a smart thing for them to do. But
absolutely.
I think only focusing on the community wasn't a smart thing to do.
we're not that big. We're big. We're not that big. So
We're a family. That's
We're a
what
family,
Heroscapers are a family.
I will tell you though, a lot more people are interested in EscapeCon now, and I feel bad feel bad about the number lock. But I get the reason for the number lock, but there's a lot more people that want to go now. So,
but that gives them something to think about.
Oh yeah.
For the future. I mean, if they could get that amount of people, and I do. I know Mike and everybody there loves that one hotel that we went to.
It's a good. That was
it's
amazing.
great.
Oh,
it's
so
perfect.
streamlined.
Yeah. I mean, it was right near the airport. It was very
It's so
exclusive.
good.
Like you
I
felt
don't
like
even
you were just part of that. Like plus,
go to your
ultimately
room,
too.
sleep, wake up, go play games. Go to your room, sleep. Like I
Yeah.
can't. You can't complain about that life.
No, escape. No, everybody that runs EscapeCon, they do an absolute
That's so
fantastic
good.
job. It's truly unbelievable. But I hope and pray that it does open the idea of other people too doing the
Mhm.
same thing.
Only time will tell.
Or even like eventually going bigger than that you could ever imagine.
And
Um,
I'm just we actually have a couple more people chatting now. Now the chat's coming alive. Let's see here. Airbol, ERBOL on Twitch. Good morning. Good morning. I guess it's morning somewhere. Um, uh, good to see you there. Matthew Kress on YouTube actually saying hello. How's it going? Escapecon 2 is great.
Matt.
Matthew.
Mhm.
Hello. Thank you. I think you're one of the first people to comment on a ToV Live TV podcast via YouTube. Congratulations.
Achievement unlocked.
Nice.
Achievement unlocked. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
I can talk a bit about this for a while if you want me to. I don't know how long you want me to go on about
For what?
potential futures of Heroscape.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's since I kind of led into it with a dark, future. Let's talk about like
The bright end.
the
bright
positive,
end. The potentials.
yeah, the potentials, for the future. I mean, especially, not with just what Avalon Hill and what Hasbro might do, but what
one
we
thing
are
to bring
going
up
to
that
do
too.
as well. I mean, one thing that Patrick said in their limited communication after the crowdfunding campaign ended was just keep on playing, guys. Just keep on playing. Keep on playing the game. Let's see here. Matthew says, I'm so old I don't even know what Twitch is. You're good, Matt. You're good, Matthew. It's all right. Yeah,
So,
but go ahead, Jason.
I was gonna say, so I guess Heroscape's kind of in a funny position from a game production standpoint. Also, I know Avalon Hill has a position where they want their games to be ready out of the box. And the reason why that kind of matters is what they potentially could do is they could release limited runs of different types of miniatures. Now, not like Heroscape is plastic injection molded, which is good if you want to make thousands upon thousands upon tens of thousands of miniatures, but there's a very high upfront cost with that. I pulled one of my Caladagian miniatures off the shelf. This guy is almost entirely resin. Resin is being a two-part plastic where you mix two types of liquid together, pour it into a mold, it hardens. This is the kind of technology you would use for relatively low production run miniatures. And, in theory, Avalon Hill could go this route and maybe release like those 5 heroes we saw. The classic Sergeant Drake Alexander, the new Evil Raylan, as like a limited run set and make that available for sale to raise some money. The problem you're gonna run into there is, maybe you're looking maybe 2,500 sets they would make, and resin miniatures, while they're kind of cheap to get started in terms of the initial production cost compared to injection molded plastic, it's pretty miserable making 2,500 resin miniatures. So someone could do it, but it'd be a very slow process, and there really wouldn't be a whole lot of profit at the end of the day. Because I think what Avalon Hill would want to be able to do is find a way to make some profit, roll that into a bigger product, and kind of have that train keep going. Plus, with the resin miniatures, they're much more fragile than plastic injection molded miniatures. You got to be much more careful with them. You also have to assemble them yourself. So you're going down more of a traditional miniature hobby route, which Heroscape obviously hasn't done, and I'm pretty sure some of the community would not want to go down that route. And the other problem that Heroscape runs into is the plastic tiles themselves. Those things really have to be made with plastic injection molding, and there's going to be a
Mine's just starting to crack. I'm getting
high cost. Yeah, and they're starting to break. They're starting to break as is. 3D printing can't do that. Resin casting, I mean, you could, but it'd be very big and heavy and not really good. So if you really, at some point, someone would have to want to spend the money to get the tooling made for those terrain tiles and get a whole new set of those being made. And potentially, if Hasbro's thinking a little bit in the future, maybe make the new edition Dungeons and Dragons have hex-based maps, and now you got yourself Dungeons and Dragons maps. And then from there, they could, so there's a lot of little tricks they could try to pull off. Will they? Probably not, because it's a lot of work for, it's still low risk, but it's a lot of work for not necessarily a guaranteed victory when there's other things they could probably tap into and make a lot more money at.
Mm-hmm. And let's see, I know there's some comments here, and thank you, Jeremy, for addressing some of this. But I'm just gonna, for those watching or listening to the ToV podcast audio, I'm just gonna ask this. Let's see here. Arable says, I wonder what happens to all the people involved, like Craig and the guys from Heroscapers. Were they employed by Hasbro and are now fired again? Well, I mean, Craig is an employee, and I don't think that changes because he works on other games. And then the War Council, much of the War Council were just in a consultant type position, so they probably had some type of contract, but it's
they have to keep their NDAs.
Yeah,
I know that.
Yeah, it's a limited contract, whatever that was. So not full-time employees. So I mean, like I said, it's just there's so much that we don't know, and we might not never know, but hopefully we will. I mean, we'll see. Let's see. Matthew is asking, do you guys think the future of Heroscape is printed and unpainted, or still use painted figures from other games? Because we can't count on Hasbro, we need to continue on our own. Well, yeah, and I mean, us as a community, is
going to keep making stuff.
I think actually the future of miniature war gaming, actually the future of everything probably is going to come down to 3D printing.
The 3D printing is crazy. The
3D printing technology, I mean, I think it
blows my mind.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next 20 to 40 years when it comes to 3D printing and that technology.
They're talking about 3D printing like houses.
They're talking about 3D printing on the moon, spaceships, to fly to Mars and the rest of the solar system.
Being able to expedite the construction possibilities by printing the pieces. And I'm like, that hurts my brain. But that's
they better be 3D printing my sandwich. Okay, these are the type of technologies I want. I want to be able to go over to my 3D printer microwave.
That's what I was actually about to say. 3D printing microwave. There you go.
And I get a steak. Okay.
What a crazy idea.
And
Cloudy with a chance of meatballs.
Raining French fries. I want it.
See, Arable asked, I haven't been up to date. Did they release the cards for all units on the set? That's something we might talk about another time, because I mean we already are in it, like,
do we want to like a
2 hours
cover
into this, and we will talk. I mean, we'll just talk about it briefly right now. There are like proxies being made from Age of Annihilation stuff. I mean, there is stuff happening in the works. Don't have anything in front of me right now, but that's something we'll probably talk about in the future. You want to say something, Joe? I don't know if anything, because we talked about this. If anything's been going on since then.
Right. Yeah. So, at least the touch on the unpainted and the customs and stuff, and it's what literally one thing I do want to touch on. I hope that we can move past the unpainted idea, because there's so many more unpainted 3D models that are just so much easier and a lot cheaper to get. Opposed to finding the next game that's dead to rip from, that's going extinct, and that those prices go up and it's harder to get. And
the AT43 stuff's great, but
so
never. Stuff? That game's gone forever.
Right. Yeah, and we're just taking that game, putting it on the Heroscape bases, and they look great, but I don't got that money, so.
Exactly. And so Etsy is my best friend, and I go on there every day to look at different new models that are coming out, and there's just so many possibilities and for ideas and customs. And so part of that is, the Isamu on the forums put out a post talking about and collecting from other people collecting links of proxies for the Age of Annihilation characters.
What was given to
figures.
us, or the cards that were given to us. There are some things
for the cards. Yes,
we're not going to get.
Right. And so at least to keep that conversation going. Now, I don't know what is happening behind the scenes, if there are people through the C3V and SOV, probably most like the SOV, because the C3V I believe is the one section of the website that is looking for submissions, where the SOV is just the continuation of Heroscape, and putting out models when they feel it is necessary. And so we'd have to talk to somebody through there to see what is their process and what is their thoughts on moving forward with taking Age of Annihilation and applying it to what we can physically play with. Then again, we can hope and look at possibly just, finding a way to recreate or make vague interpretations if by chance someone's gonna strike down 3D printing those exact same models of those characters. But it's
Yeah,
we could do it.
just to on that point, we do have to be careful. So, in terms of like the individuals who are part of the War Council, the
Sure.
ones that were doing that, they have stated that if someone basically recreates the models of Age Annihilation and then starts printing them, those posts will get removed on the forums because it's a very, very difficult area that can get those people in
Right.
trouble because it's still Hasbro
It's still
owned.
too fresh, so we'll
Yeah,
wait 10
Hasbro
years and
owns-
then we can do it. Fine, because they're already 3D printing the stuff.
Yeah,
that
proxies
was
are
12 years
it's
ago.
already
Yeah, we're
being
doing.
made.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're doing
stuff is
proxies, and
happening
then we
behind
have
the scenes anyway.
the classic characters are being printed right now, and I don't think they can strike those. I mean, that should be fine, really.
Can we
I mean,
Yeah.
talk about this
it-
next time? I've got a lot of stuff to say in this.
I
topic.
know
But,
this is
yeah.
this is
Yeah,
a-
yeah,
this
no,
is a
I just
hot
wanted to warn.
topic.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to warn people.
Okay,
Please
so-
be careful.
So
You don't
eight-
want to get struck.
So 18th of December, like 2 Sundays from now, when we do the next ToV, we record the next ToV podcast, it'll probably be on this subject, and we might get into lore, depending how long the conversation goes. So yeah, we'll just put it that way. That's okay. We table the lore
yeah.
for a later time. So yeah, this is more present. Present moment. But
I think
yeah.
the TLDR is that the cards that were released on the compendium, we are allowed to use those characters. They are technically, from Dadscaper's own words, he said they are release ready. So they were going to put those in the box. So everything that's in the compendium, you can play, right? And the ones that don't show up in the compendium, they are legally not allowed to tell us about them at all in any way, shape, or form. So please do not ask them, hey, what about Anshu? I'm sorry. We're never going to see Anshu. But you can make Anshu customs.
Which
We
I've
actually
already
have
started
people
doing.
are doing that. People are already creating Anshu customs. You can do that, right? But we can't get the official Anshu. We're not going to be able to see that. That is, as of right now, NDA. But the Dawn Raider Syndicate, that entire faction was released on the compendium. So play some pirates because they're cool. I like them a lot. So I've been playing them a lot.
Now, for like us as like the community, as us as content creators, and those who play the game, what things are we doing? I mean, like for myself, I mean, ToV Podcast isn't going anywhere. I think it's just something that we can grow, and something that can help promote things, and just like you said, raise our voices. So Tales of a Hal is one of these things. ToV Podcast is another thing for me that I really have to dig deeper look into. What about the rest of you guys?
Yeah,
I still-
Jeremy.
Yeah.
Where are those videos?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually, no. So what's really funny, right? And I'm just gonna be straightforward with this, right?
Do
As
it.
far as I understand my attention deficit and how it works, right? I hyper focus on one thing, and I can get it done, but that's all I can do, right? And the moment I stop doing it, it's gonna take a year and a half for me to get back on that thing. But not exactly a year and a half. But because I stopped making the videos, all of a sudden 2 weeks passed, and I'm like, hold up, what?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Like what? Yeah, it was Thanksgiving. Like, okay, I'm gonna embarrass myself. I forgot about Thanksgiving. Okay, Yeah. It was.
Did
But
you
it was
not get hungry at all?
no. This is how it happened. It was Tuesday. It was the Tuesday before that Thursday. I was trying to I was trying to plan a game night with my friend, and he's like, sorry, I won't be able to come. My girlfriend's parents are coming in for the weekend for Thanksgiving. And the moment he wrote that text, that's when I realized it was Thanksgiving week. And I was like, oh, like, so, recalculating my entire just calendar life because I was so focused on the Heroscape videos that I didn't realize there was the holidays, and trying to recuperate with that because it's getting a lot busier at the restaurant and everything. I will still make the videos. That's the thing. Timeline, we'll see. But I definitely want to finish that promise I made to the community is do that lore video series. In addition to that, I've been thinking about building off of the Age of Annihilation lore because if anything, it taught me there's still potential. I mean, let's just be honest, aside from just being obsessed with the pirate concept, the idea of a group that doesn't want to follow any of the Valkyrie, that's a lot of storytelling by itself. I mean, there's so much you could tell just from that group. Like, why did they break off? Why did they, what was the main reason? Who started it? Who, oh my goodness. New Tortuga. Like, that's all I have to say. That's
Yeah.
going to be super cool to talk about. I want to do something with that and then see if I can build off of that material. But that might be later after I do the base lore because I do want to tell you about the original planets, Mar, Rut, Icaria, all that stuff. And then when we get through all of that, we'll see what we can do with the new stuff. That's my plan.
Cool. And I just want to give a shout. I think Matt is asking where can I find the compendium. I think it's on HasLab, right?
Yes, it's
On the
HasLab's Avalon Hills side channel in the
Right.
blog section.
Right, it's there, and I'll try to provide a link sometime in the YouTube description. It might, if I can find it.
If anything, we'll if anything, Ryan, make sure we put the link into the Heroscapers page because they did make modifications, and I don't know. Does anyone know if they modified them on the compendium as well? 'Cause
No,
I'm pretty sure they. Okay,
It's
so-
only on the forums.
Okay, so the forums
maybe
only
find me
has
find me that
changes.
link then when you guys.
Yeah,
'cause-
we'll get you that link. There have been modifications to some of the figures. Either it's a point value, it's a clarification of the wording, if it's some stat changes to like their base stats or the points or whatever. So stuff like that have been maneuvered a little bit. So even with that, right? Even simple something as that is like that should have been changed. That should be changed on the compendium.
I wish, yeah.
Right, and so it's like, why is that not done? So that would be for
You have
the
to go to
fans.
various.
Yeah, I shouldn't have to go find that. Like, imagine going to ScapeCon 3 and you put it out. Let's say you're playing it. Let's say by the time that comes out, ScapeCon 3 happens, and they're like, oh, you can use the AOAs. We confirm proxies. Like, this is the thing, and you go and bring the card, and you realize, oh, that's not the card. That's a a
The
different
wrong one.
version. That wasn't a
Yeah.
confirmed version. There's a modified version, and you go, well, huh? How would you know? It's silly. It's silly. Silly.
And I have another comment. Vaultnurse 336 on YouTube. Welcome. Thank you for your comment. Second comment on YouTube. Yay!
Nice.
For the ToV podcast. I was hyped for Raylan on an armored line.
Yeah,
I think evil Raylan. I think all of us just. I think that's for me. That's one of the biggest disappointments is just not having and not seeing any stats and just nothing. It's just there and it's just like.
Well,
oh,
and then I don't know if
dream.
anyone remembers. Grunge Bob said that was an unreleased. The mount was an unreleased character. He's like, "Oh, hey, it's the unreleased Manticore," and we're like, "The what?" Like, like he knew that design from his work that he did 12 years ago. Immediately was like, "Oh, hey, I know that," and I'm like, well, "Yeah, like," and nothing.
I'm sad.
Interesting.
I'm very, very sad because just.
I mean, I know my own headcanon because her ability was going to be it takes away 2 defense.
Yeah,
from
right.
Four.
Oh man.
That would have been my
that would've been
my
so
headcanon
painful.
custom. I'll make that. I don't care. I'll make it.
put that through some rigorous testing.
That's the game I want to play. I imagine that is just someone takes Raylan from Rise of the Valkyrie, so the okay Raylan, and then you have evil
the
Raylan.
A+1.
No, it's just okay. Okay, there's a
Thanks.
better Raylan. There's a better Raylan. It's okay. And then you have the evil Raylan come in, and so you have +2 and -2 fighting off each other, and it's just like counting all over the place. It'll be fun. It's great. That's why. Yep.
Okay, and I think I want us to give all like a final comment on about like things to do or about our perspective on the future. But before we do that, before we get to our close, I do want to address some of the YouTube comments from the last stream that we did for the ToV podcast, which was the countdown. And my goodness, we had a fun. That was a fun night. Just going
that was
through
a
the
great
meme
podcast.
reviews.
Top 10 on all the forums.
Yeah, no, really. I mean, we're gonna look at the comments in a second, but no comments on Heroscape pickup lines. I'm disappointed. I wanted more Heroscape pickup lines. We need
that went on so long.
We need to do that another time.
Streak.
That was like a meme review along with give your best Heroscape pickup line. That just is just lovely. But anyway, okay, let me get to this. Okay, Demon Hunter Pillar P86. I don't know this person, but I think he has a baby now. I'm not sure. But anyway. Absolutely loved the Carl card. Llamas with hats was a buddies and my favorite series of video, and would quote it all the time. Thanks for memeing the night away. A sad evening, but the community will continue to thrive, especially with local tournaments on the rise. My longest non-ScapeCon day of Scape was over 12 hours. Woo! I remember we started at noon, and we're still playing at midnight. For 3 Christmases in a row, a buddy and I did a 2,000-point game, which only took us 3 hours or so. The largest number of people was a 3 × 3 × 3, which I'll never do again. Yeah, that seems like a lot of people. Yeah. Yes, and I think there's just a lot of his observations on that stream. That was just a fun stream. So your Vaultnurse 336 says, I told my wife about Heroscape on our first date.
Nice.
I
And
mean, that's how you kind of get in a relationship. You
tell
the person your name, and then you go, so
it
anyway,
worked.
Heroscape.
I have a lot of
It worked for Vaultnurse, so it
no
can
X's,
work.
but
we
hexes.
have the proof
exactly.
right
It worked for them, yeah.
We have the proof right here.
I'm Joe, and I want to introduce to you my, Nikox.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, and then Kayatsuki says, anyway, thank you, Demon Hunter. I don't know who you are for your comment. Kayatsuki, it'll be 3D printing for me now. Thanks again, all of you. I really enjoyed all the content. Long live Heroscape. Yes. And then the final comment is from G Busy. Says, thank you for sharing my memes, Ryan. Yes, he did send in some. Yes, so thank you so much for a lot of those memes that I did not screen before. I probably should have. But yes, no, thank you so much. And for everybody who submitted memes, thank you guys so much. That just made the night just very, very fun. Glad everyone enjoyed them. Seems like Joe especially shares my sense of humor. My personal favorite was Rise of the Valkyrie on the couch, surrounded by AOA boxes. And says, yeah, I think everybody kind of got a kick out of that. Thank you to everyone on the podcast tonight for keeping the mood lighthearted. It was nice to have something positive to balance out what's been a disappointing end to the campaign. As Sir Heroscape said, this community has survived 12 years with no official support. Will carry on. For me, it's finally time to start collecting VC. Yeah, thank you, G Busy. Yeah. Yep. Vaultner says, Vaultner's just commenting live. Good content, guys. Have a good night. Thank you for chiming in for a second, Vaultner's. Good to have you. And yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing that I'd like to keep on going with the ToV podcast is the fact that we're just if we're criticized, it's constructively, and we're just trying to move things forward, just trying to fly forward into the future to try and get this game noticed. And what we've all been doing, like for the past like year or years individually, this gives us a little bit of an avenue to where we can join together, become a Valhalla Voltron of sorts, and work together in that. So yeah, absolutely. So thank you guys for YouTube comments, and appreciate that. Yeah, like probably in like a year or so, maybe we'll do like a anniversary November next year on the end of Annihilation, and then we'll do another meme review, because there aren't any other memes that I'm seeing online. I'm just like, oh, that's hilarious, and start collecting them. I think so. So yeah, thank you guys for the comments. Now we will come to the close of this live stream and podcast by giving our final thoughts and saying who we are, and we know the drill. So and for final thoughts, like I said, just basically give a comment on what do you think needs to be done for the future, what we should do, or if it's in your head, what Avalon Hill should do, or whatever, what you guys' thoughts would be. Let's talk about that mainly. So Joe, go ahead, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so we're talking about clothes, right? So I got my Negok Saw shirt on, totally not line shackled. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah, my future of content is extremely exciting, because my ScapeCon footage is going to be coming out very soon. If you do follow the ToV podcast, and I did play with you at ScapeCon, please reach out to me if you're interested in being on the show, because I'm going to be doing some interviews with you while we watch the footage of our game.
Rad.
And I want to be able to, have the conversation that we didn't get to have while playing the game. So that's really been it's going to be the driving force for what the ScapeCon footage will look like. Also, I'm going to be starting my own streaming show twice a week, Mondays at 9:30 p.m. So right tomorrow night, I'm starting tomorrow night. So same time, different place, but and then I'm doing something a bit different. Thursday morning, 10:30 a.m. This works for me a bit for my work schedule. I have been able to tailor my work schedule for this, and I'm going to try to keep as consistent as possible for the months coming. So if you want to see more of my beautiful mug and see who I could mind shackle into playing Heroscape and other games that I play, because we're going to be doing some research for Heroscape and how to make customs and how to make maps. We'll play on Virtualscape and all that. But otherwise, I will be playing other video games, because that's my other passion as well. I do love my video games. So, but we will be doing a lot of other things on the show as well. So please come on by, stop by, say hello. And it's only be 2 hours long, so I won't be around all day. I do have editing and work and other tasks to be completed. I am a busy gentleman. So, yes, Monday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there. Or be mind shackled.
Beware. What's the
Twitch? Sorry, Twitch. Yes, I'll be on Twitch, exclusively on Twitch.
Sounds like Mario propaganda.
Yeah, I mean it's.
And what is your Twitch channel name?
Which is the same as everywhere else, is Joe Crazy 3193. So it's easy. I keep everything consistent. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch and YouTube all is the same. Joe Crazy 3193.
And Joe, I know I didn't, because I'm the one I'm a person who played against you during ScapeCon. So yes, just let me know.
Oh, okay, you're answering me. Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
good.
And just yes,
you got one.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, that game is a special one.
Oh
Special.
yeah. Oh that's
I
fun.
think all I remember, I think I played multiplayer Madness. So
Yes.
if you
Yeah.
you
So
caught
yeah,
that
even
elemental,
for the multiplayer madness games, I'm gonna see to get as many of those people as I can into
Okay.
one thing. I was challenged. Somebody had challenged me and said that, look, if you can do that, do that. Um,
right?
so I'm like, okay, I think I could. So I'm going to. So even if it's the four guys that I played with for those the 4 games I played. Um, so for all of those, we'll have different people, different conversations. I think Matt Press, I played with him. So he's gonna be one of the games, and I had a couple people overlapping. So yes, so yeah, if you do want to be on the show, please reach out to me. Otherwise, I'm looking for you to be on the show. So that doesn't sound creepy at all. But anyway,
More mind chuckling.
more, yeah, I got a lot of 20s to roll.
Yep.
Anyway, I
That
Nice.
was a
am
crazy
not
look.
crazy.
That was a
That
crazy.
was pretty good.
Well, it's not a
It's a joke,
not,
crazy look.
it's exactly he
Yeah,
gets it.
I
He
got
gets it. Jeremy, this is why you're on this show. Okay. Anyway, I'm not crazy. I'm Joe Crazy. Joe Crazy 3193. Follow me on Twitch and YouTube.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jeremy.
Ryan.
Jeremy, please.
All right. Yeah, and it's going to continue the way it's always continued with the custom groups, right? I mean, what we got the end results on the 15th of November. It's now the 4th of December, and we've already gotten like what about I want to say a third of the books completed on the site. So people are already documenting their battle reports with the new characters, right? Someone's already done the classic edits on the cards. Someone's already done customs for the cards that never got revealed. I want to say there's currently about 2 or 3 different proxy options per character for the Age of Annihilation characters on the site. So yeah, you can still play Heroes. Right, the game has not ended. It continues to be in the hands of the community, and just it's been funny, right? Because life took me away from Heroscape for a few years, right? Never got to play it, and then it just kind of zoomed on by, and it's just amazing from my perspective to just kind of flip right back in during ScapeCon and see this thing has been upheld this entire time by the same people that I knew back in the day, and they're still here maintaining it, right? And they still continue to want to maintain it, and that's amazing. That's huge. And you want to get involved, check out that site, check out these channels, these these fine gentlemen here, right, who make amazing content. Swing by the channel to see what they do. You want to get involved and learn about the Heroscaper community, because the game might not have official support right now, but we still are making stuff for it. So, and there's a lot of stuff to do. We just got a whole new task list with the 30 characters that got dropped on us, so, or the 30 cards. So yeah, so expect some more stuff down the pipeline. Definitely excited to introduce everybody to the classic lore, and then see what I can build out of the Age of Annihilation stuff, right? Because I don't know, like everyone was kind of having they were kind of confused about Arboreus, the forest planet, but I got so many ideas for that place already, so I'm just gonna like poke at that and see what I can do with it, because that's gonna be real. It's just a cool idea to me, and Animal Planet, the planet, like that's what
Animal Planet.
That's what I'm making it. So it's gonna be pretty cool. But yeah, definitely excited to see what I can do with that. And for those that want to know about my content, I am Jeremy, also known as Croatoan, also known as the owner of the Eslam Collate. It's on Twitch and YouTube, and it's a lore-focused content creation series. So I do, I'll be playing video games, talk about the lore of the video game. I'll be playing various things on stream, and I'm making a lore series right now for Heroscape to kind of cover those topics, so you can catch that on as well. And yeah, you just type in ESSALIM on the Google search or any search engine of your preference. You should be able to find me there, and I will talk your ear off about the lore. I got you. Several hours. I've done it before. It's so bad, but
No, it's so good.
Got you.
It's so good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy.
Mm.
Jason.
So I guess the one thing I'm working on is I'm taking some. So this is relevant to the two Heroscape. I'm taking some 40k Necron guys, just taking some extra arms on there, and that'll make sense in a few weeks as to what exactly I'm up to if they're not familiar with the Necrons. But other than that, you can find the rest of my content. I'll probably still be doing some Heroscape stuff mixed in with my other tabletop game things over at Rocker Robotics, as well as tabletopbattlefield.com and EmpireUnderSiege.com as my space combat game Legends of Caladasia. And I think the one tip I would have for the Heroscape community at this point is you want to make the game as accessible as possible. Whatever that means for Heroscape is obviously going to vary from event to event, tournament to tournament, player to player, but you don't want to make this game any harder to play than it already is, with the fact that stuff is kind of hard to get. A lot of the miniatures are kind of hard to get a hold of, so just something to think about.
All right. Thank you. And like I said, links to the description below, or will end up being in the description below when I can get around to doing that. But I do thank you guys for being part of this panel discussion. It's always really good content, really good long form content for you guys. So much appreciated. It's been quite a year for sure.
Yeah.
And I am Ryan, Tales of Valhalla, and while producing this podcast, I also have a stop motion animation series called Tales of Valhalla: The Aftermath Chronicles, which is a stop motion Heroscape adventure based on the still discontinued board game Heroscape until, whenever it decides to be released again. Thought we had it this year. No, but that's okay. we still got story, and that's one thing I focus on is building
You got an alphabet.
a narrative story for people to connect to, because I think that's important. I think that's one of the things that will keep the game going, and so one of the reasons why I do it. We're coming to the end, this last dash to finish season 3, and I'm not exaggerating when I say it's been several years since I started this journey as a filmmaker, as someone who had no idea what he was doing when it came to this, and it's exciting now coming to these last 3 episodes. And like I said, currently editing episode. I'm editing episode 8, 9, and 10 all at once, but currently editing episode 10 and 18 scenes. And even if each scene was a minute long, that would be 18 minutes. Stuff's going to be a lot longer than that. It's going to be a long episode. It's going to be like almost a season in itself. But I'm hoping to get done with all this by end of winter. So that way you can enjoy it and see it, cry a little bit, and just have something in which to... and we already have. There's hours of stop motion story content already on the YouTube page for people to enjoy. And people have told me they play this stuff in the background when they're playing Heroscape. So it's great. It's an honor. And I hope to do more in the future, to be as big of a voice as possible to show those executives, all those gaming companies out there that we're not going anywhere, not now, not ever in the present or in the near future, for sure. So with that though, again, I do have my channel on YouTube, but I also live stream on YouTube and Twitch now every Wednesday and Sunday, doing the behind the scenes editing. So you can catch me on 9:30 p.m. Eastern when I'm not doing the ToV podcast. And the next ToV podcast will be on Sunday, December 18th, we're going to talk a little bit about the Age of Annihilation proxies, all these cards, and what the community is doing with them. We'll get into discussion on that next time. So with that, I thank you everybody for commenting in the chat and all your comments. And feel free to leave, if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment below so we can talk about that next time when we're on. If you're listening to this on the ToV podcast audio form online, I know it's going to be confusing. There's still things I need to set up, but it'll get there. It'll get there. It'll get there. I promise. And I'll probably talk more about that next time as well. But with that, thank you everybody for watching the live stream. You have a purpose in your life. Find it, pursue it, live it. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye now.
See ya.
Peace.
Have a good night.